Okay, hi, good morning. So today we're looking at algebra notes for 1-5, real number properties. And most of these properties are things that we did talk about in 7th grade. There's one property we are going to look at this year that we didn't talk about in 7th grade, but the rest should be at least a little familiar. So that first one there, detach my keyboard, there we go. The first property is the commutative property. So commutative property, if you don't remember from previous years, is where you can change the order, but not the answer, So you can flip-flop the numbers around, but not the answer. Change the order, but not the answer. And that works for two different operations. That works for addition. And an example of that would be 5x plus 3x is equal to, I'm going to run out of room here, so I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Addition, so 5x plus 3x is equal to 3x plus 5x. Both of those things giving me 8x. And the other operation that this one works for is multiplication. So 5 times 4 gives me the same thing as 4 times 5. This comes back to that when we're combining like terms and you have something like xy and yx. A lot of you guys got tripped up on that and didn't think those were like terms. That commutative property says that they are like terms because they're equal. So remember, commutative, change order, it has that CO, change the order. The associative property is a little bit different. The associative property, you should think associate, who you associate yourself with. And the associative property has to deal with changing the groupings. And again, but not the answer. So an example of that, and again, just like the commutative property, the associative property works over addition and multiplication. So an example of that could be, I'm going to do a plus sign for addition this time instead of writing out the word. 9x plus, and let's zoom in so we've got more room. 9x plus 7x plus 4 going to 9x plus 7x in parentheses plus 4. So in this situation, notice I didn't just change the parentheses around. I didn't just move the parentheses around, which might be what you're familiar with in the past. I added in some parentheses. In my first line, I didn't have any parentheses, but those parentheses, putting them in the second part of the equation, groups those like terms together. So that is the associative property. Putting those groupings in is part of the associative property. And so then multiplication would be something like 5 times 2 times 8 is equal to 5 times 2 times 8, with those guys in parentheses. The important thing to notice with the associative property is that when you're changing the groupings around, you're not changing the order. Notice in my addition example, 9x came first, then 7x, then 4. That's still the case on the right side of the equal sign, 9x, then 7x, then 4. Same thing with my multiplication, 5 times 2 times 8, 5, then 2, then 8. The parentheses change things, but the order of the numbers is still the same. Because if it wasn't, then that would be the commutative property, not the associative property. Okay, let's take a break and do another video after.